Welcome to this channel. Today I like to share with you my observations on the exposing of fake traditional Chinese martial art, fake traditional qigong, fake traditional Chinese medicines. Now, since about 4 years ago, when Xi Xiaodong, the MMA guy, defeat the Tai Chi guy Lei Lei, the movement of exposing fake traditional Chinese martial arts started. And after that, it accelerated into exposing fake traditional Chinese qigong, fake traditional Chinese medicines. And this is a big thing for Chinese culture, because you have tons of young people who go for this movement. So I look at it objectively, observe both the exposing the fake and the fake. What I found is that this movement of exposing fake and the movement of fake are both really very self-centered. It is not about to find out the truth. It is a self-centered, no solution, destructive movement, and ignore truth and science movement. And thus fake and expose fake Chinese martial art, qigong, medicines are both destroying Chinese culture. This is very similar type of pattern like in the 1965 cultural revolutions. It is just based on, at that time, Mao Zedong's private interest. Get all the young people to expose, to beat down the Chinese culture. And of course, at that time, 1965, sure there are many fake. So this is just the war between these two parts of people, ignoring the truth of Chinese culture. And of course, nobody like to say anything. Why? Because like the 1965, it is all benefit. Your benefit, my benefit. And thus, everybody go with it. Now, so say in 1965, Mao Zedong get his people, his young people, go around beating this, destroying this culture, that culture, that culture. Okay? Sure, we know that there are many or a lot of bad guys there or fake guys there. But then compare with the Chinese culture, which is the innocent people, the proper Chinese ancient culture. What is the percentage? So this movement now today is exactly like the 1965, because they were educated in the communist way. They do the same thing. Okay? Did they ask for a solution like the 1965 cultural revolution? Is that a solution to improve Chinese culture? Or it's just for their own power, their own business, their own benefit? Well, obviously today we see that Mao Zedong movement is screwing up the Chinese culture left and right. And after that, even the scholar, the real ancient scholar, they don't dare to speak because it is a threat. As soon as you live in China, you cannot get out from that. So this is all the entire thing. And it is also very similar to the 1919s using the Chinese language, the modern Chinese language movement. Everything need to be westernized. Well, we know what happened now. How many Chinese really understand what the heck going on with the ancient Chinese classic? They don't. So this type of movement, you know what it does in the history? It is just simply uproot the entire Chinese in China. They do not have culture anymore. Face it, they don't have the science and technology training like in Silicon Valley. They don't. And also they don't have the culture of the past. So what do they have? Well, that is what caused by this. Now, is the solution simple if you don't be self-centered, or I should say selfish? It is a simple stuff. Anybody who is educated can do this. You don't need a rocket scientist. The entire traditional Chinese culture in terms of martial arts, in terms of meditations, in terms of qigong, in terms of medicine, can be actually modeled with this model, namely the intelligent world model, the natural world model, the no-self world model. The continuum of this. In this world, intelligent world, the base is thinking. We think. In this natural world is the awareness. In this world, it is the no-self world. And here, at every world, you can scientifically verify that. Isn't it like in the Western university, we research on like the yogis in terms of meditations, in terms of all kinds of spiritual research and so forth. So, if one stick with the truth and science, one will be able to find out, oh, this is the ancient Chinese culture, or it is belong to this, and it is belong to this, or it belongs to this. And who is fake is very easy to find here, to know here. Anybody who talk about meditation and qigong and Chinese medicines and martial art only in the intelligent world, you know, that's not what it is. It cannot deliver. It has to be here. If it is ancient Chinese, it's like the yogic, like the gurus, yoga gurus of the India. Okay, they be able to enter this world. The same with the Ayurvedic medicine and so forth. They be able to get access to this world. And this is even higher, but if you read the ancient scripture like the teaching of Zhi Yi 1,500 years ago, you know that they have process to penetrate over here. And today we use the EEG or the EKG, ECG, the brainwave and so forth. We'd be able to detect that, whether they have the capability or not. Scientifically, so it's objective. Okay, And we know that if they cannot do it, that means that they are here, okay, spinning with their philosophy, whatever, marketing or something, you know they're fake. Right? But now you look at the fake and expose fake people. They are here. They are no different than the young people triggered by Mao Zedong in 1965. Well, of course, if you have a strong body and then you have this political background and everything, you can do everything you want. And look at what's the consequence after the 1960s cultural revolutions. Look at the consequence. How much is the thing destroyed? Look at the consequence of 1919. All this, I want to westernize everything. Do they know what is westernize? Of course they don't. Westernize means you have to stick with the truth and stick with science. And be objective, not self-centered, selfish. But you look at all this thing, like Xi Xiaodong and all this follow and everything, didn't they use themselves as the reference? What was the difference between them and Mao Zedong using Mao Zedong, I am the guy, I am the God? There's nothing different there. So the same type of behavior, we can see that. So what I'm sharing with you is not political. It is just like a culture can get extinct if you do this kind of practice. And of course, on the other hand, those who is fake is bad too. As bad as it, or even worse. It is self-centered. There is no solutions. It's just only for themselves. It ignores truth and science. So this is what happened today, and it is very simple. Just simple science. You don't need rocket scientists. Well, of course, if people love to uproot and make their own culture extinct, that's not our issue, right? Because that's their own choice. That's their country, that's their own choice. But in terms of looking at it scientifically, study this movement, like study the movement in history, we see this. It is no longer objective, accurate. You expose it, you solve the problem. It is you destroy it, and then you're keeping destroy it. This is year 2021. Many people say, the Western world is good. It's democratic, is a human right, is freedom. Well, you look at the world who is, or the country who is really democratic, have people's right, and then have freedoms and free speech. Do they do this? Do they do this in university? You look at all this prestige university where they debate. Well, you can disagree with me, provide your solution, your evidence, and your science. Truth is defined under evidence and science. Truth is not defined because I have a bigger muscle than you, I can beat you. I have a bigger political background than you. In fact, acting that way, like Mao Zedong, is very irresponsible. So, this is what happened. So, Chinese martial arts, of course it has its good and bad. Of course it has its good people and fake people. But it never get away from this three model, the three world model. You check it from that scientifically, you know. If you're just keeping here in the intelligent world, thinking, fighting, and all this speaking and bullying and all this, you know that it doesn't have this content. And the traditional Chinese martial art, same as the India, ancient yoga, they ought to have this. They must have this. Okay. So, are we contribute to destruction, or are we contribute to solving problem? And I'm sure there are many people in participate in the exposing fake movement is like student in 1919 who want good too, who want to do good for their culture. But they have no educations on, if you want to do good, you have to do a solutions. You need to come up with a solution, and that based on truth and science. If you destroy the thing without a solution, that means you destroy the thing. So, this is the reality, and this will be in the history. It is very simple to solve this. If one get rid of oneself, selfish and self-centered and this narrow-minded, and really, if you want to do the real thing, let's dig out the truth and the science. Whatever the truth, like General qigong's writing, you admit it, accept it. Or somebody who have the fake qi, you accept it. You say, well, that's not true. And then you look at it scientifically, objectively, and you dissolve this. But if you don't go for that, you're going to destroy everything. And human life is really short. Even as mightier as Mao Zedong at his time, in the history, he's down the drain. Why? Because people know. And you want your name down to the drain, go do it. Go destroy the culture. And what I'm saying here is not just Chinese culture, any culture. Equal with our Jewish culture, Japanese culture, European culture. We don't do that. We humans do not want to do this. Because we are progressing. We are not moving backward. Like we want to destroy the entire world.